Right. Good there. Well, thank you again for joining us this afternoon. Hello, Elon parents and families. Thank you for coming to our Phoenix Families Live webinar. Really briefly, my name is Robin Lane Jimenez, and I'm the Assistant Director of Parent Engagement here at Elon University. Today, we are joined by staff members from the Student Professional Development Center, which is also referred to as our SPDC here at Elon, to discuss the job search, professional development opportunities, entry level, and graduate school supports that we have. This session will include information on outcomes from recent alumni and how students can best engage with the SPDC. And I have the pleasure of introducing Ross Wade, the Interim Associate Vice President for the SPDC, and Cameron Taylor, Assistant Director of Career Services for Student Employment, Campus Employer Collaboration, and Major Events. A long title, right? Typical Elon. So without further ado, I will turn things over to Ross. And just as a reminder, we're recording this session so you can watch it back or share with others. And Ross?
All right, thank you so much. The first thing I want to do is really thank all of you for being here today. From campus to career is something that's very passionate to our office, and we all care deeply about our success and the students' success while they're here, but also after they leave here and start to pursue their lives. And so today we're going to give you a little bit of an overview of what we do. Talk about how AI has come into the mix along with the change in the market over the past year. It's actually a little bit better than it was last semester, so that's some good news. Then talk about how we serve students specifically, and then answer any questions that any of you have at the end of the session. Just to give you a little bit more background about me, my usual title is Director of Internships for the School of Communications, and I have a background in industry, in media, television, and strategic comms, and have been in higher ed now for 20 years, and I really, really love it here. And typically, I work with students and alumni one-on-one on job search, internship search, and all the things that Cam's going to talk about a little bit more. And Cam, I just wanted to give you a second to talk a little bit more about what you do. Like the title's long, but you do a lot, and so I just wanted you to give a bit about some context.
Yes, absolutely, Ross. Thank you again for the introduction, Robin. I'm so excited to speak to you all today. So thank you so much for being here. As she said, I'm Cameron, and I've been in the Student Professional Development Center for 3 years, 3 years officially in June. Um, and I graduated from UNCG, from undergrad and their graduate program as well in higher ed, in 2023. So just super excited to serve the students of Elon. And just to give a little bit more about what I do, first and foremost, I'm a career advisor for students who are looking for on-campus employment. And I love doing it. I love meeting with the students and helping them find jobs on campus because I think ultimately that helps them um, lead into great internship opportunities and then lead into great full-time opportunities to get that professional development on campus. And so I love doing that very much. I also help with our major events in the office, so our career fairs. We just had one last week, the All Industries Career Fair, that went very well. And so I help with those major events. And I also work as a part of the corporate and employer relations team. And so when employers come to campus, I help with the on-campus recruitment kind of initiative. So if they need a table or if they need, they want to do an information session or have a lunch and learn session with students, I'm responsible for that as well. So that's just a little bit more about me, and we can keep it going from there.
Yeah, great. And so between the two of us, we should be able to answer most, if not all, of the questions that you might have. But before we get started, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you because parents and families are an incredibly large part of our students' success and our continued alumni's success as well. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
I've already talked about our topics for today, so I'll go ahead and skip that, and I'll go ahead and let Cam introduce the SPDC to everyone.
Yes, so the SPDC, otherwise known as the Student Professional Development Center, for those of you who are not familiar with our office, we're a career services office on campus. Our team is comprised of multiple different teams. Mostly, I would say it comes to three different distinctions. One, we have our career advising and education unit, which is student focused. These are our career advisors, where it be if your student is a business major, or if they're in the College of Arts and Sciences or communications, or kind of that ad hoc, like if they're an alumni. So after they graduate, we provide those services as well. And then something like me that's a little different, like student employment. So we have lots of different career advisors in that area. We also have our corporate and employer relations team. And so these are a dedicated group of employer professionals dedicated to traveling across the country to meet with different employers and basically make that connection between who we are or who the students are and selling that to employers and making a plea for them to come on campus, share jobs and internship opportunities with us and everything like that. And then last but certainly not least, we have our operations and communications team. And so this team is really key when it comes to planning events, coordinating the marketing of events, and just continued professional development to staff. We also host like 500 plus career programs each academic year. So that team is very busy with those projects and making that happen. Yeah. And so you can see us in a lot of spaces on campus, which is really nice. Right now, Ross and I are both talking from the Mosley Center, which is kind of like what I like to refer to as the heart of campus. And so that's our student union building. And then this is where the students who fall under the College of Arts and Sciences or undecided, this is where they'll go for their appointments. And then we have McEwen Communications 101. And so that's where the communication students will see it, career advisors. And then Corey Business School, as the title suggests, that's where the business students go and see career advisors. And then Corey Athletics, that's where we have a specific athletics advisor for students. And so they'll have their career advising appointments in that office. And then these are the different types of appointments that you can have at the SBDC, available for free and for life, which is an awesome, awesome opportunity for students. And I think some students don't even realize like you can access these kind of resources well after you've graduated. But just to name off a few, we have, of course, we will review their resumes, their cover letters. A lot of students, like the ones I meet with, first year students, have no idea how to write a cover letter. They've never written one in their lives. And so we really meet the students where they're at, and we'll help them go over, resume, cover letters, major or career exploration. So if they're not sure where they want to start off with, once again, and typical for a first or second year kind of appointment, utilizing LinkedIn, such a big one, right? But they can get their business cards made in our office. They can also um, take or get professional photos taken of them, mock interviews, networking, the job search, full-time job search, internship job search, e-portfolios when it comes to communication students and getting that worked on. And then we have two great career advisors for graduate school support. So lots of great kind of different services that we offer.
Just wanted to pop in here really quickly to say I'm so sorry if anyone had any technical difficulties getting into our webinar. If you missed the first few minutes, this whole session will be recorded and posted afterwards. So in case you missed any of the introductions, that's really all that was happening in the first few minutes. And many apologies again, but feel free to find our recording after this full session. Back over to you all. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Thank you, Robin. And also we have the Elon Job Network. And so this is our hub where students can make appointments. They can discover those career, events on campus. This is where they can look for full-time and internship opportunities on campus. Student employments are on here as well, or on campus like job opportunities. And as mentioned before, our corporate and employer relations team, they work to build recruiting relationships with key companies in support of career experiences for students, for jobs, from jobs to internships to career tracks to job shadows. And so a lot of those, if they get a job posting from an employer, that goes into our system directly. And so that's the great thing about EJN.
Great, thanks, Cam. And I saw a couple of questions pop up in the Q&A, one specifically about engineering students. So STEM would go under right now the College of Arts and Sciences because that's like one of the schools. We have the School of Business, the School of Com, the College of Arts and Sciences, and in the fall we'll have our School of Engineering. And those students will, for a while, be advised by the College of Arts and Sciences team. So they are definitely being served, and they have their own professional development events with employers as well. So I'm going to go through a couple that we've done in the spring, but typically their event is in the fall because of recruiting strategies and reasons. We do a lot of on-campus fairs and events to help employers engage with students. We also use our alumni a lot to bring that engagement to students as well, because they can speak to the Elon experience and how that connected to their internship experience and then their job experience. And then, of course, they can give a lot of context about each of the organizations. Earlier this month, we had our student employment fair, and we had a lot of on-campus employers come. And what was it, like 300 students came to this event to look and see if they could find any on-campus employment. Typically, we want for it to connect to what they're studying, so it gives them more hands-on experience. Um, Later in the month, we had the accounting meet and greet. So that's primarily for our business students. This is more of a networking session since, again, accounting's um, recruiting timeline is primarily in the fall as well. So in the fall, we have another meet and greet that's more of a fair that is for recruitment for our students in accounting. As Cam mentioned earlier, we have our All Industries Fair. That was a couple of weeks ago. And so that was for all students. If you're sociology, if you're strategic comm, if you're engineering, if you're business, whatever it is, we had employers that hosted all those different types of interests. And then next week, what we have is our comm and sport management meet and greet. Now, this is intentionally called a meet and greet because it's not going to be as formal as a fair. And we found over the years that we really have to be very specific to industries and what the students need and what the companies need and what they can offer recruitment wise. So, whereas our all industries fair was more formal, like your typical fair, this is a meet and greet. So we encourage our students to wear their Elon gear, and we'll have employers and alumni representing all of these companies on campus virtually or in person. Some of them will have internships and jobs, some won't, but it's a great chance to network and make contacts at these organizations. And this is one of these opportunities where we have a high contact with alumni. And I tell my students all the time, I think one of the best benefits of being an alum student is that you become an alum and having access to that social capital because our alumni are the best. They want to help. They want to sincerely make Elon students and alumni successful. So I always, that's a big part of our work in the SPDC as well as making those connections. We also have a health professions expo coming up in April. And so that is going to be for our students that are interested in dental school or PA or PT or medical school. And it gives them a chance to learn more about programs they can pursue after Elon, talk to some faculty that are currently in our discipline here on campus, et cetera. So we're really excited about that one as well. I wanted to just go over some key metrics, and we're really impressed by these. So we measure our graduating classes placements at the day of graduation, and then also we follow up with them 3 months after, and then 9 months after that, and that's our final follow-up. So this month, actually this week, we're completing our metrics for the class of 2025. These metrics are for 2024. We will have the 2025 metrics on our website within the next couple of weeks. But for the 2024 class, 95% were employed in graduate school or doing service 9 months out of graduation. The next statistic makes me the proudest is it states that 92% of the class of 2024 accepted a position related to their career goals. So they got something that interests them that probably related to their major, and not just getting a job at Starbucks or something like that. So that's something that's very, very valuable to us and exciting to share with parents and families. We also have some other data up here, including the amount of students that do internships. It's exceptionally high. We're ranked highly for our internships programs and then also our SPDC. I think we're marked number 16 out of the 20 top services, or I'm sorry, offices in the country from the Princeton Review. So we're very excited about that as well. Some more data bites. And so this is more of what's currently going on. And I talked about this a little bit earlier, but things this semester are a lot better than they were last semester. So that is positive, and that's something that we want you to know and that we're informing students of as well. So just to give you some context, the Bureau of Labor Statistics unemployment rate is 4.3%. But of course, because we work with undergraduate and a few graduate students, we want to know what that rate is for job seekers between the ages of 20 and 24. So in January 2026, it was 5.5. So a little bit higher than it was in January 2025. When we did this presentation or a similar one for um, parents last October, the employment rate for bachelor's degree grads was the unemployment rate was 9.3%. So it has gone down considerably. So as I said before, things are looking up and we're very much excited about that. Here's just more data. We really use our national association, and it's called NACE, and that stands for the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And they're basically a career services and development and employer think tank that does research all year round, and then they give us information based off of that research. And so these graphs that I'm going to show you are generated from across the country, across all different types of schools. So if it's a business school or an engineering school or a theater school, and then all different types of roles as well. So they give us some great data like this about the average salaries by discipline. The ones that are a little bit higher aren't necessarily shocking. You'll see that social sciences is a little bit down, but that's typically because a lot of those folks go into graduate school because they need those advanced degrees for that specialty type of work. So please note that this is bachelor's degrees, not bachelor's and master's degrees. So NACE also provides us an outlook report. And so though things are better now, employers are still a little bit cautious because they're not quite sure what's going to happen next and if they should hire or if they should just stay stagnant or if they should let folks go. Y'all have probably noticed that some industries, particularly media and tech, have been laying off folks lately. Again, there's that hesitancy just because there's so much change going on now. But employers reported that 79% of their entry-level jobs require a bachelor's degree. And I bring that up because there's a lot of talk these days about skills over scores. So that's the next topic, and that is a piece of it. But for most professional jobs, they do require a bachelor's degree. And I think that's important for you and your students to know. Um, that being said, they want to know your skills as well as your scores or your grades. And so being able to prove those skills, and Cam's going to talk a little bit about those later because we have 8 specific ones that we help students grow. They need to be able to express those. So in a resume, in a cover letter, when they're doing an interview, at a networking event. So not showing here's what I've learned, but also here's what I've done and here's how I was successful with it. And here's how this can connect to the success of your organization. So focusing on those skills is very important, and also finding opportunities to grow those skills and practice those skills that you do learn in class or through a student org. All, as we'll talk about a little bit later, being able to express that professionally to employers. This goes to the next bullet: internships and early career experiences, such as on campus employment, are essential. I'm really proud of our student employment program here at Elon. We've adopted a program called, well, it's called Elon Grow here. And I think it's from Iowa Grow in Iowa. And what I like about it, I can't think of the specifics of it on the spot right now, but it's using student employment in the managers' meetings that they have with their students more intentionally to understand here's what you're growing in this role. Here's how you can talk about it with employers at interviews. What other skills do you need that we could potentially help you grow based on your major and what you want to do professionally? So, all of these experiences, including being a part of student orgs, is very, very important. And then, of course, AI, I'm going to skip to this in a second, but it's really reshaping the hiring process. I've heard from so many HR folks and recruiters that they are just overwhelmed and bombarded with the amount of resumes that they get because folks can now send them automatically without even looking at a job description. They can make bots, they can do all these different things. And so while that might feel advantageous to the student or the job seeker, it's really overwhelming to the recruiter, which makes the whole timeline much longer for the recruiting and hiring and interviewing process. So that is important to talk about because the human piece is still very, very important. And I'll talk about that a little bit when we go into AI. One interesting thing that I found getting prepared for this program is that I feel like a lot of us assume that students feel very confident in AI and they're naturals with it and they use it for everything, including job search and internship search. And it turns out that's not the case. Quite a few of our students do not feel comfortable using AI yet for professional ventures, and it goes in here as to some of the reasons why. So I have a feeling from their academic faculty, they're getting talked about, ethics and plagiarism and those types of things. And so they're rightfully instilling fear in them, saying we have to use AI for good and not for bad. But that sentiment seems to carry into applying for jobs and internships. And of course, there are ethics and laws there as well. But they're seeing it still as very black and white. So that's the main piece. Lack of experience using AI. I'll talk to students and they'll use AI to plan their spring break or plan their, spring schedule, but it never occurred to them that they could use it to help prepare for an interview. This next piece makes sense to me. So they're concerned prospective employers would know and penalize. And that's true to a degree. I mean, we can't have a student say that they can do X, Y, and Z that was exactly on a job description, and then they show up to a job interview face to face and have no experience they can talk about. So that's realistic. They're concerned about protecting their personal data. And as I said before, quite a few have just never even considered it. So I thought that was really interesting. That being said, the ones that are using it for some of the fundamentals of the job search and internship process. So to help write a cover letter, prepare for interviews, resumes, answer a question, to help search for jobs. And I find that a lot of them too, thankfully, are using it for professional communication. So before they hit that reply and send email to the employer, they'll toss it into AI just to make sure things are correct grammar wise and spelling wise, that it's professional, etc. So that's a very, very good thing. So AI in the future of work. So I talked about this a couple of slides back. It's definitely it's rising. So 75% of knowledge workers use AI, and nearly half started in the last 6 months. So that's interesting to discuss. Um, One of the primary ways that industry is using it is for efficiency and productivity gains. So an average of 66 boost in efficiency for tasks like writing, analysis, and coding. And I've seen this in my own professional work. When I get sent a document that's 50 pages long and I just need to know the essence of it, I can use ChatGPT to help me summarize it with key points that relate to the work that I do with students. And so that saves me so much time. And so it makes sense that industry and all folks would use it for that reason. And because of that, it's really important that students can understand how to use AI to minimize time doing those things as well. So, skill literacy, there's always, maybe Photoshop or InDesign or Canva or Word or Excel or R. There's all these things, but now it's very important that students can articulate in person or on a resume that they understand how AI works and they understand what it can, how it can be used for good and how it can't. And there are quite a few AI platforms that are industry specific. And so we also talk to students too about, all right, you don't have to be an expert in these platforms, but you at least need to be familiar with them. And a lot of them are very similar to each other, which is very helpful. So it's a mandatory skill now that they have this. Um, this is the most important bullet on this page. Human skills still matter. We need humans to survive. We need humans to do business, and that's what's most important. And so, a lot of our work with advisors and then our work with employers is helping students better understand that and helping employers get in front of our students in personal or I'm sorry, in person or virtually so that they can have that one-on-one interaction. Um, Employers still highly value in-person contact, and they typically are still doing that through fairs, info sessions, class visits, and a lot of times it's in person, and a lot of times it's virtual. It tends to be based on the brand and how big it is, or budgets, or things like that. But the in-person contact is still very, very important because they need to make sure that this potential employee has the creativity, adaptability, ethical judgment that they require to engage with other humans and be successful so the business can make money and prosper. Job market outlook, a net gain of 78 million jobs by 2030, so that's a very good thing. Emerging and high demand fields include AI, specialist, data science, cybersecurity, and more. So those are just a few things again that we've gained from our colleagues at NACE. We are very big into AI here. This has been embedded into the culture of our work on campus, not only with career services, but with academics, with how we can make our offices leaner with using AI so that we can save time to focus on bigger things. We have our own director of AI and we have our own AI hub. And it just gives a lot of information on updates and resources. We have this fantastic student guide to AI where it talks about the ethics of using it. It talks about how to use it with improving your studies and your academics. It talks about how to use AI for your job and internship search. It's just a really robust department that we have, and it's just always giving great on-campus presentations and workshops, online tools, etc. In our office, the Student Professional Development Center engages highly with the AI Hub. So finally, I'm done talking. I'm going to give it back to Cam.
Thank you. And I just want to say y'all have been asking some great questions in the Q&A section. And so I've been trying to get to all of them. Apologies if I haven't gotten to your question yet. Um, Ross can work on that as well, I think.
Yes, I will.
Thank you, Ross. But as I jump in, so how can I support my student in their search? So in addition to making sure your student is aware of the ever-evolving recruiting landscape, how else can you support your student in their search?
Sorry, I went straight to the chat.
No, you're good. So it's all about knowing the market, right? What are employers looking for? And so we use the NACE competencies. I think Ross mentioned this earlier. And these are just competencies basically for career-ready workforce. And so employers outside of the normal skill sets students would bring to a job, they are looking for students with these eight competencies: career and self-development, communication, critical thinking is a big one. You wouldn't think, but it is a big one. And Ross, okay. Equity and inclusion, leadership, professionalism, teamwork, and technology. So these are all competencies across the board that employers are looking for. And then I think we have a breakdown in the next Um, and so as you can see, this was a something that like a survey um that
From
Yale
these.
did in, yeah, thank you, in 2025. And so you can see that problem solving skills are at the top of what they are seeking on a candidate's resume. Ability to work in a team, communication skills, written, initiative. That's another big one. Strong work ethic and technical skills and communication skills, verbal. And then I also see flexibility and adaptability. Not to say that all these things are not important. I think they're extremely important, but you can really see what the market is looking for. And something that students want to highlight on their resume is kind of like those transferable skills that they have that can work wherever they're trying to be. Problem solving, you need that with that, like no matter what job you're applying for. Ability to work in a team, communication skills, all of that. Like that's going to be needed no matter where you are. So just wanted to look at that. Okay, so know yourself, VIPs or VIPs. So values, interests, personality, and skills. Give me one second. It's encouraging, so basically encouraging your student to build a thorough understanding of who they are is key to understanding and evaluating potential career paths and opportunities. So values determine what's most important to them in their work. So this includes, I've talked to a lot of students about what they value. So money, right? They all want to make money, of course. And a lot of students, especially Gen Z and Gen Alpha, as we get into Gen Alpha soon, work-life balance is very important to them. Traveling opportunities, maybe serving a particular population, living in a particular area. So we really try to focus on what are your students valuing? Um, and what's something that's a non-negotiable for them in their job search. Interests, so it guides where they want to like invest their time and energy when given the freedom to choose. Basically, like just having them reflect and think like, what do they enjoy doing in their free time, or what do they like learning about in their spare time, and how does that relate back to a career that they may be interested in pursuing? Um, and personality refers to how they interact with the world. So having an understanding of their style or preferences can allow them to draw connections between who they are and the work environments and job functions that they might find most comfortable, as well as identify their growing edges. And last but not least, skills. Okay, skills represent the ways in which they will address the needs of an employer, essentially, what they will actually do in the workplace. Skills are informed by many things, but of course, the experiences that they are contributing to the market and on their like with their internships, um kind of that on campus, like whatever they're bringing into the market. um yeah. Okay, so what are some ways, speaking of the market, this is a different type of market, but what are some ways that students can market themselves? So definitely, it all starts with your resumes, right? We tell our students to edit and customize depending on what industry they're looking into. And even down to the particular job, there might be some things you include with one job that you're looking for that you wouldn't include for another because maybe they're in two different industries, and they're different. So really nailing down what is this employer looking for? What is this job description implying that they're needing, and kind of custom tailoring your resume to fit that. And then the same thing with the cover letter. Um, Cover letters are really a chance to show why, as a student, to show why you are passionate about working somewhere, but also what are the experiences that you have developed over your time being a student that you can bring into a company or an industry. What makes you stand apart from others? That's what I see a cover letter as, just another way to express or to talk about what makes you stand out as a candidate. And your LinkedIn is very important. Some of the first things we do when we're interviewing candidates is looking up their LinkedIn, right? So just making sure, telling your student to make sure that their profile is updated and it's accurate and it's optimized for getting, the kind of input that they're trying to receive. But yes, there's a lot of times where we'll look at someone's profile and it's not updated. It's from like 5 years ago. So making sure they keep it updated, a professional headshot, um, and engaging content, putting on their wins, their successes, right? I see students, they write about like when they make the dean's list or they're on their honor roll or whatever in the semester. And I think that's great. Or anytime they contribute to a project or something of that nature. So or an internship, they start a new job. That's definitely something you want to add to your LinkedIn, of course. So just encouraging your students to stay updated. And then networking, growing your network. Here we have a huge network of alumni at Elon. And so reaching out and connecting with those individuals, whether it be at a career fair, on campus recruiting opportunity, or it be virtually on LinkedIn or on other sites, growing that network and not just, messaging them, asking what you need from them, actually trying to get to know the person, doing an informational interview, pouring into them as much as you're trying to get them to pour into you. And so um, it's not always, what you need in that situation. It might be what the employer needs from you. So trying to learn from them first, and then maybe, later down on the line, they have something that opens up kind of thing. So just always encouraging them to keep their network growing. It's not just a one-time deal. You just reach out one time and that's it. That's an ongoing conversation and dialogue, not every week or anything like that. But every couple of months, maybe the employer has a post on LinkedIn and you like it or you share it out. That's another way to interact. It doesn't always have to be an email or something. So just definitely encouraging your students on that. And then joining student and professional organizations is a great way to be involved on campus and a great way to connect with alumni as well. And to connect with faculty and staff here on campus. They have a wealth of knowledge as well. So I think that's another way that they can grow their network.
Thanks, Cam. And just kind of the soundbite of all of that, which is really like our goal and our mission is that, we see ourselves as educators and mentors. So our role is to help a student understand who they are, the professional mark they want to make, and then give them the resources and to help them create a strategy to make that happen. And of course, a big part of that is networking and alumni. And then we stay with them through the entirety of their career to assist them as they grow, decide they want to move up, or change careers altogether. So again, we deeply see ourselves as educators and mentors. Um, and speaking of alumni, this is something that I'm very excited about. This is a tool that we've had for a little over a year now, and it's called Elon Q&A. And the Q&A stand for Questions and Alumni. And this is an AI-driven engagement tool allowing students and actually other alumni to reach out to a database of alumni, over 35,000 alumni all over the world across all industries to ask questions. Now, most of them are professional questions, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a professional question. I was talking to a student last semester who it's always been a dream of hers to live in Hawaii after graduation. So she hopped on Elon Q&A and said, hey, I would really like to learn more about, the neighborhoods and the islands of Hawaii and, what it's like to live there and, explore different ways that I could potentially move there after graduation. And four alums got back to her that live in Hawaii, and she had conversations with all four. And one of them offered a bedroom in her condo for the student to come down during spring break to actually experience it herself. So there are a lot of different things that folks can talk about. The popular topics are here, so career transitions, planning for that gap year, especially if you're planning on going to medical school or law school. I've already talked about location readiness. And then there are certain student populations that might have a little bit more difficulty on campus, so they can reach out to alumni in similar situations to get their feedback. So One group that struggles quite a bit is our transfer students. They were at another school for a year or two, and then they come here, and it's very difficult because all their peers have known each other for 2 years already, and they've been a part of student groups, and so sometimes transfers feel a little bit behind. So this is a platform where they can go and get outreach and talk to those now alumni that transferred in as well during their time here. And then portfolios. We see this a lot in more of our, comms types of roles. So graphic design, TV and film editing, things like that, photography. And so we have a lot of alum that can provide, feedback on these portfolios, et cetera. And this is why this is so important to us is that, we generally know what should go in a portfolio, but now we have this tool to say, well, why don't we go on Elon Q&A together and try to find someone that does this for a living or is in this industry so an actual professional that's an alum can critique your portfolio. So it's really great. And I'm going to freestyle just for a second here, y'all. Sorry. But I just wanted to kind of show you what this is like live because it's really, I'm going to hop on to Elon Q&A. There's nothing that the student or the alum has to download. They just go to this website and there's a list down here of where all of these incredible companies, from government to business to technology to communications, I mean, just all types of great organizations. And students can ask a question. They fill in name, contact information, their major, and then their class year, and then they can ask a question. And it really is more like a prompt since we use AI for it. And so we tell students, ask 5 questions instead of putting all of that into one question because we don't want to overwhelm the AI. But this has been incredibly successful. We also have videos here that show them how to write a good prompt or a good question, and then also examples as well. So that's just a tool that we're really excited about here at Elon, and it's really kind of blown up. Our final slide before the question slide is we want to collaborate with you. Cam talked a little bit earlier about how we engage with employers if they do like an info session virtually, or maybe if they're on campus, they go visit a class, or maybe they want to get involved and talk to a student organization. Say if I have a parent that's works in PR and they want to engage with the PRSSA. So these are just some examples of how we could potentially collaborate. You have a lot of knowledge and expertise and experience, and we want to learn that from you and have our students and potentially alumni learn that from you as well. So please consider these ways to collaborate. And if you have any other ideas, feel free to drop them in the chat, or you can feel free to email me. I've got my email address right here, rway2@elon.edu. But we're always looking for fresh ideas, great ideas. So please hit us up if you have any. And finally, it's just questions. So Robin, I guess I'll give that back to you.
Yes, indeed. And I know we have been working frantically on the back end to try to get some of these answered in the most timely manner. Thank you for all of those who have submitted questions. We'll have about 15 minutes now where we answer some questions live, and you might see that some have been marked to be better answered live. So we'll start off with is there a place online where companies looking for recent Elon grads can post job openings?
Yes, so I'm going to freestyle again. Let me see if I can get out of here. So I'm going to go to the Elon SPDC website. So if you just Google Elon SPDC, will typically come up first. That's John. He works with our health sciences students. That's Henry. He now works in sports in Florida. He graduated last semester. If you go into employers on our menu on the left-hand side, it shows you where you can post internships and jobs. It also gives you an overview about all of our different majors. And if you just click to this link, you can see like a lot about our schools and our programs. There's a lot of recruitment options and events. So I mentioned this earlier on, like on campus recruiting events, virtual engagement, student organizations. And then these are some of our side programs that we list as well. So Campus Alamance was actually created by President Ladeau Book here. And so this is a summer internship program where students get paid by Elon, but their service goes towards a nonprofit that serves Alamance County. And so that's the county that Burlington/Elon is in. So that's where you can find out more about our options for engagement, or employers can, and then and posting opportunities on the Elon Job Network.
Yes, and we always love to hear of that because we have some stellar Elon grads that we would love to be employed. So definitely
Yes.
contact the SPDC with any companies that you might have in mind. Um, a couple questions that we received about AI in the application type space. So AI reviews of resumes, AI now are like interviewing, you record yourself. Anything that we do with the SPDC that kind of helps prepare with the new incorporation of AI into applications.
Yes. So, an AI in one way or another has been a part of the application system for quite a long time. So, some of you might have heard of application tracking systems. So, when someone submits a resume, an algorithm goes over it and it's looking for keywords that are also found in the job or internship description. So, that's been going on for a long time. It's been kicked up and used more by more organizations over the past couple of years. But that's something that we've always trained our students on. What's great now is that we can use AI to help them with AI. And so, what I mean by that is we can have a student say, copy the job description into Chat GPT and then ask the AI, what are the key terms and experiences and skills that I most need to represent on my resume? And so it's going to spit those out. And then what we can do is upload the student's resume and say, where could I potentially and ethically put these skills and experiences in my resume? So the AI will give suggestions. Most of the time they're real, sometimes they're not real. So those are conversations that we have to have and say, it's given you these ideas, but you have to think ethically and decide what is true, what is something that you can talk to, and, based on this feedback, how can you maybe write a stronger bullet or change a word from workshop to presentation because presentation happens to be the term that this company prefers.
Absolutely. And I know that there's some concerns about kind of getting caught in that AI cycle and causing that to kind of be numerous applications kind of through LinkedIn too. So great idea there, Ross.
Yeah.
Kind of some follow-up questions about AI, and I know we had a slide on it. I will just say that we don't necessarily have any AI specific curriculum for that major per se quite yet, but we do have this AI hub that Ross is bringing up. Ross, how about I turn things over to you to explain a little?
Yes, and so we have this AI hub that is for the entire school, faculty, staff, and students, but many of our degree programs are creating AI specific classes into their curriculum. So as I mentioned earlier, typically I'm in the School of Communications, and I know that now there is an AI class that relates specifically to online media, comms, etc. So this is being blended into the curriculum as well. If we go into the AI resources and tools, I mean, it just kind of goes through how we're incorporating it through all of Elon. So Elon has its own chat GPT now. So it's all related to students that want information more on advising or career services or being a first gen student. So they can type questions into this and it gives them Elon specific information and next steps. Um, AI is incorporated into, I mean, pretty much everything now, including the Adobe suite. So, folks that are making videos or graphics or editing pictures, we have access so that they can, start to understand how AI can be put into these types of practices. We have certification programs and courses. We have student resources. And so this is what I talked about earlier on. And this is fantastic. And it just goes through, it gives an overview of higher ed and AI. There's President Book and all of her collaborators on this. And it just gives a lot of really great information. So, core principles, ethics, academic integrity, career planning. And then here's just a list of some of the tools that they can use. And again, it goes through the pros and cons. So, this is a really, really wonderful department that we now have on campus. And so, here's our AI team right here.
It's a nice one-stop shop to kind
Yeah.
of see what we do with AI so far. And it's constantly being updated, as Ross mentioned.
Hmm.
AI is being incorporated into curriculum. So as that happens, we update this hub as well. All right, kind of combining some similar questions here. Sounds like the all industry career fair has passed us. When would be the next opportunity for like an all career type fair?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you speak to that one.
That is a great question. We find that no decisions have been made yet, but we find that our students actually quite like more specific fairs and meet and
Hmm.
greets and programs. So we're actually not sure if we will be doing the All Industries Career Fair, that specific fair again. But as far as opportunities to connect with employers, we're still we have the COM meet and greet, we have the Health Professions Fair. April 2nd, the COM meet and greet is next week, March 3rd. And then we'll have some great programming upcoming for the fall. Um, which will include an accounting meet and greet, a fall student employment fair. There will be a business job and internship fair, um, programs of that nature. So we'll definitely have a lot more opportunities. And there's also smaller events, which I kind of mentioned before, the on-campus recruiting events for employers. There's plenty of ways to connect. We have something in the works with Wells Fargo in the future. Um, and with Honda, I think it's another one that is, coming
Hmm.
down the pipeline. So we have a lot of exciting, smaller and bigger events coming forward into the future. But yeah, the All Industries Career Fair, we might do away with that one because, like I said before, students just, I think they like a more specific fair, is what we've realized. And so that's what we want to deliver. Does that help?
Absolutely. And
Okay,
yes, I believe that answers the question. And
perfect.
I know there were some earlier questions about, is this open to first years? Absolutely. We encourage at the SBDC for students of all years to get involved,
Yeah.
especially as early as they'd like.
We
So absolutely.
And just to point
Um,
on that, there might be some fairs where we're looking for a specific
yes.
year, but there's no fair where you can't go. Like there might be an accounting meet and greet for accounting students, but if you're a philosophy major and you're interested in accounting, you can go. You know what I'm saying? So there's not like a barrier where only these students are permitted at these events. It's open. It's always open for all students, but just in theory, that was one where, hopefully more employers were going to be more representative of the amount of students that were going to be there and things like that. So,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a great clarification. Yeah, all of
thanks.
these events are open to all students, and that kind of leads into this. So, and
Mhm.
I'm leaning heavily into the school communications because that's my, home base. But
Yeah.
we do have guides, and so they're based off of major. But again, we might have someone that's a dance major that's interested in comm design or journalism, and so what any of these students can do is go in here. And it gives an overview, kind of explaining what does comm design mean? What classes do I take? What types of roles can I pursue with my degree or with the experiences that align with this degree? This is my favorite. It gives a list of where recent alumni got their first jobs after Elon. It has the company name, the title, the city, and the state. And because only about 23% of our students are from North Carolina, most are from the Northeast, Our CER team does a lot of travel all over the country, and we focus on our big target areas. So Boston, New York, LA, Chicago, Atlanta, etc. And then some job sites that are more industry specific.
Fantastic. Yes. And switching, schools a little bit. One of our questions is, do you help with grad school applications and the admissions process, and specifically like medical school?
Yes. So let me go back to the SPDC. That's John. So John does that. And what I'm going to do is go to our About page and go to where you can actually see more of our team here. So that's our admin staff. So they'd be under ops and comms. These are all of our advisors. So we have two that work specifically with students interested in grad school. So Collier is basically law school and everything other than health services. So she's not going to be working with folks interested in physical therapy or being a physician's assistant. She's with the law school or getting a PhD in psychology, etc. John is our person who's the Associate Director of Career Advising for Pre-Professional Health. So he's helping students get ready for the MCAT. He's helping them with their statements of purpose and their resumes, prepping for interviews. I know that that's a big focus, like that whole upcoming event on the Health Professions Expo is based on getting these graduate programs on campus to engage with our students. And he also, as Collier does, he teaches a class every semester, and he's got a new experimental one coming out in the fall where MCAT prep is going to be a part of it as well.
Great. And I think we have time for one more question that I want to sneak in here. Um, at what point in the school year should students start thinking about applying to internships?
Ooh, so that's a really great question. And unfortunately, the answer is it depends. So we have like if you're an accounting or a finance major, they're already looking to hire students for summer of 2027 for interns. So business, finance, accounting, they have a very early deadline. Whereas if someone's interested and being a production assistant on set for a television show, those are probably going to pop up about 6 months before the internship starts. So that's the job of us. Most of our advisors are broken into industries. And so we are familiar with those particular industries' timelines, and we inform faculty, staff, and students about those so that they don't miss those.
Fantastic. All right. Well, in the interest of time, I would hate for us to extend too far over, and we want to be respectful and mindful of everyone's time here. So, thank you so much, Ross and Cameron, for coming on and providing some of this information to our parents and families. Ross just brought up this first slide again. So, in case you missed it with those technical difficulties, here is Ross and Cameron's contact information. We welcome all questions. So if we unfortunately did not have time to get to a question in the chat, then you still have lingering questions or our answers kind of inspired more questions, which is what happens, right? Feel
Yep.
free to reach out to us, the SPDC staff, us in the Office of Parent Engagement. We are always happy to help. And we just thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to join us. Again, this session was recorded and it will be sent out via email, put on our Office of Parent Engagement website, and also on our YouTube page. So make sure to go ahead and rewatch it if you need any additional information or reach out to us.
Thanks,
So, on
everybody.
that, thank you so much. We really appreciate it and have a great rest of your Monday.
Thank you guys.